And to speak to us today is Joyce Glasscock and possibly others. So Joyce, welcome to committee.
Of the committee, I appreciate being here. And can you hear me? Mike, are we on? You good? Okay. Appreciate the opportunity to speak before you today. I'm Joyce Glasscock, and I'm the Executive Director of the Kansas Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs. And I'm here representing a number of youth development organizations that include Jobs for America's Graduates, Kansas, JAG-K, Alliance of YMCAs, 4-H, and FFA, and I have several of those individuals here in the audience with us. JAG-K here is Chuck Knapp. Chuck, if you would wave there. With the Ys, Whitney Dameron is with us today. 4-H, Amy Collins, and FFA, Mary Kane, and her special guest, Jory Ratzliff, who is the Kansas FFA president. He's also a K-State freshman majoring in agriculture technology management. So pleased to have them with us here as well. We do have some slides, and we'll want to get those up. Very good. Okay.
Before you get started on that, could you make sure we have a list of all of your guests here today?
Happy to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. I want to make sure that you have a sense of the others who are involved with our organization, and I'm pressing and I'm not getting reaction. Okay, very good. Here are additional individuals who are involved with our leadership and partnership. Of course, Jen Bruning is also with the Ys, and Dr. Sarah Moss, who is the director of 4-H, cannot be with us today, but I wanted you to be aware of those as well who are involved with us in this collaboration. So I wanted to start with the variety of obstacles that points to the need for more support around career exploration for young people. Due to home environments such as unstable housing, family losses, or inconsistent access to healthy food, for example, some youth struggle with the here and now, let alone planning for the future or recognizing even the relevance of schoolwork. Sometimes career readiness programs are just elusive for our youth, depending on where they live or the resources that might be available in their school or community. And actually experiencing those career options can be a costly endeavor at times. Our youth career discovery proposal focuses on middle school grades for several reasons. Youth at this age begin to solidify skills that are needed for success, or alternatively, they may begin to disengage at this age from learning. According to the Association for Career and Technical Education, this age group thrives on learning in hands-on ways, and that also applies to career exploration specifically. But perhaps as important as anything, middle school is when students are expected to develop their independent plans of study. That process is intended to help students define their career goals, make informed decisions about their high school coursework and activities coming up. But if a student is struggling to focus, doesn't seriously engage that process, or just doesn't know what to do with their life ahead, this process can be daunting for a young person. So in all, our partners serve nearly 11,000 middle schoolers across the state, many in after school and summer programs. Some are served during the school day, and we serve youth both in neighborhood and school-based sites. We are widely recognized for quality programs. We all have decades of experience in youth development, and all of us have experience managing publicly and privately funded programs with fidelity. So why virtual reality? In seeking a more deliberate method to attract young people to career discovery activities and to use a method that research is showing is meaningful, we looked to this method. In this virtual reality, a medium that young people enjoy and are adept, youth can literally experience dozens of jobs they may never have considered or may even never knew existed. And a recent study suggests that 3 out of 4 students who used VR simulations for career discovery said it was consequential in their actual career decision making. So why is this strategy important to Kansas? Well, we believe the project situates youth development organizations to be instrumental in a variety of ways. Not only does this project have the capacity to benefit the thousands of youth we serve and strengthen their future earnings, we believe we can help address challenges of Kansas employers who need more skilled workers in the pipeline and more skilled workers who help keep more of our communities vibrant throughout Kansas. In our proposed budget, we seek $320,000 from state funds to implement a pilot program using virtual reality for career discovery that targets youth in grades 6 through 8. Our programs will also assist youth with career planning and support for developing their individual plans of study, as we talked about, that will guide their high school curriculum. We propose a match of non-state or private funding of $1 to every $2 of state funding. And last Monday, a one-year funding for FY 2026 was approved in the House Appropriations Committee. Our outcomes proposed would increase the following: the number of youth who express interest in critical to Kansas career paths, confidence among partners, and our participants about future school and work opportunities, and it would increase knowledge about the professional or soft skills that employers say is so critical and essential to their workplace. Further, we would not only channel youth into, but also track the number of youth who engage in virtual reality simulations that align with careers in the Kansas Promise Scholarships fields. Those sectors include agriculture, food, natural resources, healthcare, advanced manufacturing, and building trades. Just as last comment, we hope that this project engages youth statewide, urban and rural, at a much younger age and sets them on a path that intersects with the needs of Kansas employers and Kansas communities, and, quoting our Kansas FFA president, fosters a generation of skilled, prepared, and forward-thinking professionals who will shape Kansas' future. Thank you. And we do have a video that's just about 2 minutes long. If we are prepared to show that, I'd be happy to respond to any questions after that. And it's also in the link in the last slide, if that helps you. Okay. Yeah, it's in the email, and it's also on the last slide as a link. Or I could take questions now, whatever you prefer.
Committee questions? Representative Carlin.
Thank you for being here, Joyce. You said something about an amount that was approved in appropriations or the House committee or something. Was that 125,000?
320,000.
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. And it's three what?
320.
320.
For 1 year.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, page 4 is where. So what will that do for you? Because I don't see that amount in the paperwork.
Right. So what that does for us is that allows us to secure the licenses and the technology itself, the headsets and the handsets that go with that technology, on which youth at the various programs would actually engage with the simulations.
So it doesn't provide the programs.
It provides additional materials, training, supplies, and staff to support that, and also support, obviously, the reporting and making sure that we are tracking strongly with the outcomes associated with the project.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry I came in late.
That's fine.
I had constituents that would not stop. But we had, so tell me how many people you're talking about here
So
to serve?
among all 5 of our organizations, we serve between 10 and 11,000 middle school youth, so 6th to 8th graders. And we would have to select, what percentage of those youth will we try to secure for the purposes of this project at a pilot level. Obviously, we won't be able to serve all 10,000 or 11,000, but we would select a number that we would try to serve and try to serve with specific outcomes that we would track. And in some cases, we would be doing pre-tests and then post-tests to ascertain their level of confidence in potential careers, which specific career simulations they experienced, which the company we are looking at would also track for us and produces reports for that specific information as well.
And if I might, just how many would be in the pilot program?
Right. So my suggestion would be that we try to get between 5 to 10% of the youth we served in the pilot program. And you're familiar with Boys and Girls Clubs in Manhattan. You've been very involved in the organization. We've got a former club kid here as well. Raise your hand if you're a club kid. Okay. And the beauty of this is that there are a number of Boys and Girls Clubs in Kansas who would want to and be able to deliver on this. In order to just do a reduced pilot program, we would probably execute on a mini RFP among the clubs to determine which clubs have the strongest capacity to deliver on the project specifically. And all the organizations may have different ways that they would go about engaging at different locations within their organizations.
Thank you. That's very helpful. I'm sorry if I missed all that
No, that's fine.
before, but that's helpful. Thank you.
Representative Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just out of curiosity, and thanks for being here today.
Sure.
Appreciate your being here. Just out of curiosity, how many career simulations do you think you have or that's available to these kids?
So in your packet, probably at about page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so, there is a list of career simulations that looks like this. And there are simulations front and back listed. And the organization we're working with continues to churn out additional simulations. They align with the Department of Labor career clusters. And a lot of these are heavy on healthcare. And the organization nationally looked at high demand, high wage jobs to roll out career simulations for. We have spoken with them about leaning in more heavily on agriculture specifically. And we spoke to their organization about the importance of agriculture in the middle of the country, and Kansas specifically, the importance of the animal health corridor, et cetera.
Other questions? Representative Curtis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for being here. So 320,000 this year was the request, and what I guess is in the House appropriations. And then you'll be asking for another 320,000 next year. You're looking at a 2-year pilot.
Right. So the first year for fiscal year 2026 is 320,000, and the way that this amendment that was offered was worded would be that it would come from existing budgets of ks.gov. And that would probably also be our request for fiscal year 2027.
And then after the pilot project for 2 years receiving funding, then do you see this program becoming self-sustaining, or will we be seeing this again?
Our intent is to, as we mentioned, have a match of private 1 to 2 to state, with the intent that we introduce a number of associations and private organizations to what this looks like. And every organization so far that we've approached, that includes Kansas Health Foundation, Kansas Hospital Association, Farm Bureau, Corn Growers, Kansas Contractors Association, et cetera, all like this and have all said, this is something we need to be doing. It's something we need to be doing at this age. And many of them have said, we would like to be involved in this. We know that, at least at my organization, Boys and Girls Clubs, we've had a number of companies that have come to our clubs and said, please figure out a way to get more of your youth tracking to those industries and careers that, the jobs that we need. And so we feel that we can lean in and after 2 years of state support, be able to get on our feet.
Madam Chair, just one last question. Do you know if any of the organizations in Wyandotte County, particularly east of I-635, are participating?
So, Boys and Girls Clubs, and I've got other organizations here who could speak to this, but for Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Kansas City, which is headquartered in Missouri, but has a program site in Wyandotte County and a program site in Olathe. That organization works strongly with the Kansas clubs too. Jason Roth is their CEO, and he is their organization is also part of the Kansas Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs. And I would see that they would have an interest in the future of being engaged in that. But I also know that other organizations here, well, for instance, 4-H is in every county, of course, in the state, right? And if others want to speak to that, I'd be happy to step aside for that.
Madam Chair, my name is Chuck Knapp. I'm with JAG-K representative. We have programs in Wyandotte and Johnson County that serve middle school students, but we have 15 middle school programs across the state. And so we would go through a process in determining where we would get the greatest impact to place this VR pilot program. Thank you.
Any other questions? Representative Rogers.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for being here. Madam Chair, hoping to jump the gun, but I put this money in the appropriations as we were going through the process, not knowing if we have time to work in a budget, one of the budgets we had. This is a good program, I believe, and it's not going to serve everything to everybody right now. And I know you wanted more, and we're all being a little, austere with our money, as we probably should be. I think, like Representative Curtis, we're concerned about certain areas. The place where I represent, there are no Ys, there are no Boys and Girls Clubs. But we do have 4-H, and we have JAG-K in some of my district, and of course the FFA is very strong. And so that's where I think what we're looking for is to show good support. Now, what's exciting about this is the students, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. We focus an awful lot in this building on 9 through 12, or broadly K through 12. That usually means 1 to 3, 1st to 3rd, 1st to 4th graders, and then 9 through 12. What this does is with some of these programs through STEM and construction, that's one thing we hear, the top 3, housing, daycare, and workforce development. And this, and you all were here a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week, I don't know, the session's gone so quick, to offer legislators the opportunity to try these and some of these programs, and if you have those little Oculus things, that's what it is. And so, I hope that this does meet with the needs, and again, we had a lot of conversations, excuse me, as we were going over this before the session, and talking about, most of you know I'm big into public-private partnerships. If we have public dollars, we need private dollars as well. And so that's kind of the idea. And we'll see what next year brings. I think if this thing starts out as successful as we want it to be, you'll probably raise a lot of private money, and we'll see what happens next year as far as state support to expand it more, and working with the other partners also. So I think, I think of FFA, what a great opportunity and not only to expose to some of these programs, but also to expose these 6th, 7th, and 8th graders to FFA and what it could bring. That's, those are good. So, basically that's the question I guess I would have is, are you coordinating all this as far as, because there's so many different partners and there's only so many, kind of students that you can impact? Are the final decisions going to be with each individual group, or is there kind of a clearinghouse? Or do you already have, certain targeted areas you want to make sure you meet either geographically or industry?
Well, all of us have autonomy over our programs. And so within clubs, as I mentioned, I would probably ask those clubs who are strongly serving teens in their programs to express their interest through a competitive process. And then we would select potentially those organizations who may be great in offsetting what maybe the Ys decide to do. So if the Ys decide, for instance, Wichita is going to be our place, I may say, well, I've got a strong application from the Wichita organization, or I've got a strong application from Hutchinson. We may choose to fall back on number 2, appreciating that maybe the second half of the year we can have a second organization engage with the equipment and that training. I think that it might look different with the way 4-H and FFA does it because, of course, their program model looks entirely different. But that's, of course, the beauty of all of us coming together. We have very little overlap of youth that we serve, and we serve them all in different ways. But we all do career readiness, just not with the kind of technology we want to employ to really attract middle schoolers into this effort.
Any other questions? So there's not going to be representation in certain geographic areas throughout the state?
Well, I can see where we would try to have the broadest reach that we can. And so, all of us aren't going to do something in Topeka. All of us aren't going to go to Wichita and put, three of the 5 organizations aren't going to go there. In fact, Chuck Knapp from JAG and I were just talking about, does it make sense for us to get in the room and say, hey, this makes sense. If we have, a program over here going with JAG-K, does it make sense for, you, Joyce, to ensure that we've got a program going in another part of the state? We just actually have had this conversation. And from the very beginning, our intent was to try to make sure that we are serving rural and urban and having an opportunity to be in communities that currently just maybe don't have enough. And, one of the reasons we specifically sought out support with the 4-H and FFA was because we've got to get to more rural areas, and we've got to get to western Kansas. And so that's why these 5 are here.
Okay, so on page 4 of your, the handout today on the numbered pages, the first few pages aren't numbered, so it shows that there's 100 sets of the
Oculus,
big fancy glasses.
Yeah.
And the licenses that go along with them. Will those be prorated equally among the groups, or will it depend on how many this group's going to serve and that group's going to serve?
We agreed it would be 20 to each of the 5. Now, it may be that, let's just say that 4-H has their Oculus sets at K-State ready to deploy anywhere. And maybe we don't have this in Manhattan right now at the Boys and Girls Club. That means potentially the Boys and Girls Club in Manhattan can tap the 4-H Oculus sets. So we also talked about, can we make sure that by collaborating, we have the ability to also expand our reach in some additional communities. And so that's yet to be seen exactly how that would work, but I think it's a great idea. And because we are all very collaborative and willing to work together, I think the communication can be such that we make sure that we have as much reach as we possibly can.
So like if FFA is having a great big deal in Hutchinson, they could borrow from the other 4 their oculars and have a larger group there, and same with any other group that might be having a larger gathering to coordinate?
Yep, absolutely.
Any other comments, questions? Representative Rogers.
Thank you, and I just want to make sure, so where this, as we were doing the K-12 budget, that's why this kind of came up. So what kind of came before this committee as far as to find a mechanism to not use state general fund money. This is taken out of the existing funds through operating through, the Department of Education. So it's no new money. It is, we looked at a number of different places, and it started out maybe looking at a university to house it. Universities, that's, then all of a sudden, then you have a whole other set of circumstances. So we came to probably the best thing to do was just, you got someplace for it to land, and so it's, the landing spot is the Department of Education. That's where the financing is, and then it goes out, from there then into this partnership to do this. And then though I'm sure if they come next year for this request, they'll be in front of this committee or probably K-12 probably is where it is, and then have to, talk about their successes and to defend possible appropriation next year. So, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that clarification. Representative Curtis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That just brought to mind another question. Have you coordinated with our state Board of Education or any of the entities over there about this program?
So last summer, we spoke twice to different people at KSDE, and we've spoken specifically with Natalie Clark, who manages technology and careers. And when I approached her, I was concerned that they would say, "Oh, we got this covered," because schools are working very hard to get our kiddos exposed to different career activities. But she said to me, "But you know what? I am so glad that the youth development organizations decided to get together and lean on this," because she said, we know we don't have enough counselors. We know sometimes when kids are seeing their counselors, it's because maybe they're in trouble, not because they're working on their career readiness activities. And she said, there are kids who just need more support. And at an organization that might look like one of ours, they're going to get more support in the after-school hours, during summer, and in the case of JAG, actually during the school day. It is an elective course. So there's just an opportunity to put more time and resources around this, and so she was actually very supportive of it. She didn't offer to pay for it at the time, but.
Other questions or comments? If not, we will watch the video. I believe it's ready.
Finding a new career can be an exciting and eye-opening experience. Join us as we look at the new career exploration experience from Transfer, offering an immersive look into a number of in-demand careers. CE 2.0 offers hands-on simulations that allow students and job seekers to explore career options by experiencing what it's like to work a day in the life in multiple different roles and ultimately get on a path to a high-paying job. To tell us a little bit more about why we created an updated career exploration, we would like to introduce our CEO, Bharani Rajakumar.
The difference between 1.0 and 2.0 is quite big. 1.0 simulations are literally our training simulations. In version 2.0, we made them shorter. We added accessibility features based on the feedback of our customers, and we've added more occupations. Transfer's mission is to help everyone get on a career pathway to upward mobility. The reason we have that mission is because we think having a career pathway to upward mobility enables one to find their true passion and get on a pathway to independence. Career exploration plays a critical part in that mission because it gives people an opportunity to try and explore a variety of career pathways that they may have never had an idea may be relevant to them or their interests. We're really excited about where it can go, and we think there's no limit to the number of occupations that we can add.
And I know Chairman Waymaster experimented with one of them. I think it was the diesel mechanic simulation. And Representative Rogers also watched several simulations as well while he was with us. It is, when kids do the virtual reality, it is like they are there. And virtual reality, not only in training, this organization, Transfer VR, also does a lot of just corporate training videos, but they also just have a dedicated route to specifically appeal to young people, and they've worked with Boys and Girls Clubs of America to try to make sure that this kind of technology is accessible to young people as well, because they appreciate that there's a true meaning in making sure that young people find a way out. And Barani, who was on this video, came to this country, I think, as a young child, and I think lived in some situations that were low income. And his story is he said, I looked around and I was like, what are all of us going to do? How are we going to get out of this? And he realized, there are ways to expose young people to paths that find the way. And that's why he's committed specifically to this. So it's a great story. Any other questions?
Representative Curtis.
Just, are there other companies that also produce these kind of training videos?
I asked that question, and I understand there is an organization in Florida that does something like this. And I have not reached out to them. They have not reached out to me. I don't think that they specifically target heavily youth development organizations, or I would have known about them. But I do know of one other that specifically does video and the virtual reality simulations for young people.
Representative Rogers.
And one of the things too is that this group and others have not really focused on agriculture. And so Kansas will be one of, if not the leader, as far as for ag careers, that they've developed stuff. And so that was the other exciting part, is that all the technology we have in agriculture that other states just hadn't thought of or whatever, thinking of other things. And so I think that's what will make this program unique as well, Madam Chair.
Any other questions or comments? I'm sorry I didn't get over there that day. I think I was drowning in budgets or something. Did you happen to bring any of those oculars today?
I have the Oculus set so you can see it. It would take, too long to probably get it up and running. But if you want us to do it again, Transfer VR actually asked if they could come again. If we ever need them, they're willing to do it. And they make a point of just being available in case someone wants to experience it or experiment with it. But if you want to see the Oculus itself, I can get it open for you. And the beauty about this is that it's so portable, and that's what makes it so meaningful for people who want to use it in their programs. You don't have to take a kid to a location. You bring the location to them, and not only is it safe, I mean, there are just some places that you can't take a middle schooler in to witness a career, right? But, a middle schooler can weld with this. And, that relative to cost, it's also relatively inexpensive, again, if you compare it to taking youth to a work site. So that's the beauty of, one of the beauties of this specifically. And the fact is that they are continuing to add careers into the mix. So, yeah.
Thank you.
This specifically is a Meta headset that they use, so.
Committee, is there interest in having a demonstration at some point? We can talk about it. Any other questions or comments? Thank you for being here today. And are there any other items to come before the committee? If not, watch the weather. Yes, watch the weather. If not, we stand adjourned. Thank you.